The Flames are under the assumption that they still might be competitive this year, but who are some potential free agents that could make a difference and make that dream or delusion a reality?
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jess Belmosto, and thank you so much for joining me here today. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Today, we're going to talk about 3 players that I think could potentially make a difference, a positive impact on the Flames roster in this 2024-25 season. And we're going to look at things a little differently because you gotta get creative, and this team has made it clear which direction they want to go into, and we're going to follow their lead here. Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. So I thought today would be a great day to go over some free pending UFAs that could potentially make a difference here in Calgary. And when I say that, I don't mean that they're going to push this team over the edge. Offensively, you're not going to have to spend a lot of money, potentially. These aren't marquee player. Well, that's a lie. 2 might be, depending on where they are. But my first player is, of course, Sean Monahan. Okay, you're thinking, Jess, why do you want to bring him back? Like, he was always hurt. He never, really got right. I really think things are different right now. I think he has had consistent, healthy seasons where he has been able to really get his footing underneath him, get him established, and not be playing on a lingering injury that ends up turning into something more severe and something else, and then it just snowballs. I think Sean Monahan is just a wonderful human being. Obviously, Flames drafted him 2013. That's a very long time ago. Wow. Okay. And he has come into his own, and I don't think that anyone is going to be giving him a long-term contract at almost 30 years old. I think that, 2, 3, 4-year deal maybe would be max. I would like to see the Flames 3 years. We've talked about it a lot on this show, is they cannot overdo the term. Even 2 years might be enough. I'm sure that he could be wanting something entirely different, but I don't think we need to give him a very long contract. I don't think that's necessary. Obviously, the Flames traded him to Montreal back in 2022. That's crazy that it was that long ago. It feels so much longer ago. And he's had good seasons. He did miss a little bit of time in Montreal with injury. He didn't I believe it was his ankle or his foot. And I mean, it happens, but he has maintained, he's been healthy. Otherwise, he started the season in Montreal, 49 games there, had 35 points. He finished the season with Winnipeg, 24 points there. So he had 59 points in 83 games. Is that including the playoffs, I'm assuming? With the one playoff game he played. I don't think that's bad. I really don't. I think that, you know, he has been able to reestablish himself, get his footing underneath him. I think things in Calgary, I don't I don't want to read too much into this, but I feel like things just never were able to be resolved with his physical ailments and his injuries, and like he either rushed himself back or vice versa. Um and that didn't seem to be the case in Montreal. So maybe things are different. I think that he's still a productive player. He scored a hat trick in the first period against the Flames. Does anyone else remember that? And the only reason I didn't shut the TV off and like throw the remote at the television was because of Sean Monahan. If it was any other Winnipeg Jet, I probably would have had to replace my television. I'm not gonna lie, but a short-term deal for Sean Monahan would not be a bad thing. He's a veteran center. He's still productive. You can put. He's not going to be your 1C, depending on how you want to go. So you can move him down the lineup a little bit. I mean, really, that was also part of the problem when he was here, was there was no true 1C. He was supposed to be that, allegedly, and that just never transpired because he got hurt so many times. And it was mismanaged. So maybe we don't need Sean Monahan back here for his own well-being. But no, you play him in the lineup where he is comfortable, where you're comfortable with him. You put, it could be another Zari and Pospisil situation where the veteran anchors them down in the middle. So maybe you're not going to play him on your fourth line, but you have to kind of finagle this. And I think there is a world where that can happen. And we're going to talk about that next too with our next player, who I would call this one the longest shot in the dark of the three players. But first, we are going to take a quick break here, and we will be right back after this. Now is the perfect time to be spending all of your time at concerts, theater, baseball games, sporting events, wherever you want to be, because before we know it, it'll be cold again. And Game Time makes getting NBA final tickets even faster and easier. Prices on Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to tip off. With killer last minute deals, all in prices, view from your seats, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. I used Game Time to get myself tickets to the Red Sox Yankees game on Saturday, and I couldn't be more excited. It was a fantastic deal. I could see my seats, view from my seats, and I actually moved up a section because I thought, it was that good of a deal, might as well. And I'm going. I'm going. Even though the Red Sox aren't that good, I will be using and taking advantage of Game Time to put me in the seats. And you too can save even more when you choose the section and let Game Time choose your seats. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA final tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you are subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. We are here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. Your team every day. So this next player is another veteran center that I never thought I would advocate to play on the Flames, especially with the Flames being in this situation. This player is Matt Duchene. He was bought out by Nashville last summer and signed in Dallas as a free agent. And I think there could be something there. He had 65 points in 80 games. He 25 goals. The Flames don't have too many 25 goal scorers on this team, so it would be nice to add another. And he's a center. I'm not saying you need to go out and sign Sean Monahan and Matt Duchene. I think they're both going to be more than like $3 million maybe. So do you want to do that? But I think that, again, a strong veteran presence that has overcome adversity is great. It is one of those intangibles that general managers, coaches, anyone in an NHL organization just eats up like it's steak. And I mean, I too would love to see Matt Duchene on this team. I think it's another situation where it has to be like a 2-3 year deal, just because he's 33 years old, and he's still like, he hasn't hit a wall yet. He went from 43 goals, career high 43 goals, to 22 to 25. Like, he has always been like at least a 20 goal scorer. Back in 2015, he scored 30 goals. His second year in the league, he scored 27, 24 his rookie year. Like, he has consistently put up numbers. And time in Nashville just came to an end, money-wise, and it was just done. There was nothing else there for him. And I think that was a really smart decision. It felt weird at the time, but I think the Flames could really use that to their advantage and be like, this man, he did this. And also they could talk about his Uber situation and why you don't do that, and why you'd just be respectful and make sure that there's no recording devices around when you're talking about your team, right? But no, I think Matt Duchene would be a great center, obviously, for this team. Probably be your 1C. It all depends on how you want to shuffle your lines around, because are you going to keep playing Zari at center during the season like you did towards the end here, or are we just going to flirt with him being a winger and a center? I feel like they did that with not Sean Monahan, sorry, Sam Bennett too. I feel like they just kind of plopped him in either position. But Matt Duchene played 80 games this season, 71 the season before, 78. Like, it's not like he is decrepit. He's still young. And 33 isn't exactly a spring chicken in hockey, but as we've seen the years go on, 33 is the new 29 in some cases, it feels like. And I think Matt Duchene, like, he will probably end up resigning in Dallas, especially with how close they are to winning a Stanley Cup. I'm sure that he wants to be somewhere where he can win, but it wouldn't be bad if the Flames explored this option. I think you need someone who can play that position and play it well, because there has not been a true 1C in the 4 years I have covered this team. If Matt Duchene is your 1C, you're not a bad team. You're not a bad team, but is that really the direction this team wants to go in? Like, are we just skipping the full, like, the rest of the suffering? Like, is our vision just like, okay, we did all this, we ripped the Band-Aid off, we're just jumping into adding more pieces that are going to attempt to make us competitive again? I don't think that's a smart way to look at this. I think that they need to be strategic in the pieces that they add. I think, adding Matt Duchene or Sean Monahan would be good, because you still need to score goals. You can't go out there and lose 82 games. And if you did, maybe they should do that so we can get them to sell the team. Is that something we should look into? No. But you can't fully tear it down to the studs. And you need guys who are there. You need players who are capable of holding down the fort and trudging through the mud. And Matt Duchene is one of those players that can get you there. I am looking at his shooting percentage right now, and wow. Okay, I got completely distracted by that. He's shooting at a 14.5. That's pretty good. That's really good. That's not bad at all. And that the Flames need someone who will shoot. They just need to shoot. And Patrick Laine is looking for a change of scenery. I do not think the Flames need to go down that road, simply because the cap hit, and honestly, Rasmus Andersson and Patrick Laine, I think Rasmus Andersson needs to apologize a million times over, because I do think the hit that Laine took last season from Andersson really messed with him. Another concussion, and we know how we feel about head trauma on this podcast. Not a good thing. Again, this is just options. I am obviously not a general manager. I don't get paid enough to sit here and stress about cap space and finagle nickels and dimes and should we do a 2 or 3, or maybe we stretch it to 4 years. Nope. I am here to rattle off some ideas and make a good case. I do think that Duchene is going to re-sign with the Stars. I think that he was, a pretty big factor in the magic that happened last year. But that's that. I mean, I wouldn't hate it. How would you feel about Matt Duchene joining the Calgary Flames? I think it would be cool. I think that the Flames just could benefit from anything at this point, and they have money to spend. So spend the money, but don't do it over long periods of time. That is the key to this offseason. You can't just hand out 7-year deals, 6 years even. 5 years, you got to pump the brakes a little bit there, depending on the player. But coming up next, I'm going to talk about another player that has floated around the league that I think could be a great depth addition for the Calgary Flames. And we will be right back to talk about it after this message. Hello, Locked On Flames fans. I want to take a moment to bring up one of our partners, the mobile game Ultimate Hockey GM. Have you ever dreamed of being an NHL GM and managing your hockey franchise? Hey, you could try it out with my ideas from this episode. You could run the Flames better than anyone that's ever done it before. Well, your dream can come true, and this game is most definitely for you. Manage every strategic aspect of your team, play through the seasons, and lead it to glory. Hire the right coaches, the right staff, trade players or draft picks, navigate through free agency and the draft, all in a challenging and realistic game world. As a Flames fan, you know there is no off season. General managers are constantly making moves at every point of the year to improve their team's chances, and that's why I think you're going to love the game. I am going on a little road trip this weekend, so I will be playing this in the car, so I'm not bored, and I can make this part of my resume, right? Ultimate Hockey GM is completely free and playable offline. Play on the go and as you want and when you want to. By the way, Locked On Network listeners, get a 100% free boost in their franchise when using the promo code Locked On NHL in the game store. So make sure to check it out. To download the game, just visit hockeygm.app or look it up on your app store. Ultimate Hockey GM, start your dynasty today. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today. You can follow me on Twitter at JustBelMosto. This next player is a Wisconsin-born center, and his name is Craig Smith. Craig Smith has floated around the league. He played with Nashville, just started his career in Nashville, and then signed in Boston, and then went to Washington and spent the last year in Dallas. 34 years old. Another situation where you're not giving a long-term deal here. 2 years max, I would say here. I think that you can obviously he plays on the wing too, I'm pretty sure. So, you have some versatility there. And I think that that's something the Flames really need to find in some players, because you need that. You need the flexibility. You need the possibility of, okay, maybe things aren't working out with them at center. We just flip-flop. And again, that flexibility really matters. This year, he played 75 games and had just 20 points with 11 goals and 9 assists. Now, why would you want to bring on a guy like this? I'll tell you why. Because he has a strong work ethic. He is someone that is not he's not afraid to shoot the puck. He will play his heart out every night. And he's Craig Smith is just, I don't want to call him a grinder, because when I think of grinders, I think of those fourth line players that should potentially consider retiring, but he has that perseverance. He is a good depth player. I mean, you could, if you wanted to, put him on Mangiapane's wing, and when you trade Mangiapane and, a less expensive version of him to give you options there. You have to think about the bigger picture. When I'm looking at this team right now, I'm thinking okay, we're in the mindset of making this team more competitive. You need some depth scoring. He's had an increase in goals the last 2 years. He went from 4 goals to 5 goals to 11. So, not that great, but we are trending upwards. He can't score less than Jonathan Huberdeau. That would be a shame, right? But I think that this is just, it's a body you can scratch, you can have in the lineup. You're probably not paying him more than $1.5 million, $2 million max, I would say. And you need players. That is the biggest thing here. And I understand that, you're taking spots away from younger kids. Are there really any other centers that are ready to make that jump? Sam Honzek is not ready to play in the NHL. I am very sorry. He is not ready to play in the NHL. And that's fine. But you can't just, it sounds so easy to just be okay, just phone it in. We're done. Pack up the season. Don't try to win. You're never going to convince professional athletes to tank. It is very clear that ownership and management doesn't want to go that route. So you're going to have to kind of continue the season you had this past year and maybe get a little bit worse when you lose players and have a full bad season without, your top 4 defensemen playing out of their minds, you're going to obviously lose more games. You're going to have young goaltenders in net. You're going to have younger guys on the ice. And it's going to progressively build into something. And I think that it's exciting. I think that you have to obviously ice a team. And if you want to plug and play with the veteran free agents, why not do it with guys that can do something? And I think, again, Craig Smith just spent the season with the Stars, and he went out there and did his job. Like, he's 34 years old. You're not going out there and playing 20 minutes a night. Yeah, he averaged 10 minutes and 13 seconds. And that's a decrease from the year before where he was playing 12 and a half minutes. So it's just a matter of where you want him to play in your lineup, because I really don't think you're going to want to put some of, like a Matt Coronado on your fourth line. You're not going to want to put some of these guys on your fourth line, and you have to you have to trade some players to really make some room here. And not even just for like these free agents, obviously, but to free up a little bit of the log jam, because if you start creating spaces in your lineup, you're doing your team a little bit of justice. Obviously they traded Lindholm, and they were able to bring in Kuzmenko, who was pretty good through the remainder of the season. You had obviously Tyler Toffoli. You bring in Sharon Govich, and there were spots for Zari and Pospisil, but only because Pelletier and Rooney were hurt. So, I don't want to. It's tough, but you're probably going to have to trade Mangiapane, probably Kuzmenko, possibly Sharon Govich, and maybe Blake Coleman, if you're looking to get some good draft capital. A playoff team could absolutely use Blake Coleman. But I think that these 3 players are guys that can come in here, not overly expensive, not long term, and perform on the ice. I think a line, Huberdeau, Duchene, and Sharon Govich, I think that would be a fun line. It'd be good. It'd be something to watch. And that'll do it for us here on Locked On Flames. Thank you all so much for tuning into today's episode. I hope you have a fantastic evening, and I will see you all tomorrow. And we have a special episode with Jake Baskin, who does play-by-play, joining us on the show. So make sure you subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and never miss a show. Bye-bye.